Let me ask you something. Have you ever looked at your life and thought, everything is fine, so why do I still feel empty? You're not struggling. You're not failing. You're not in crisis. And yet, something feels off. You wake up. You work. You scroll. You repeat. And there's this quiet question you never say out loud. If this is success, why doesn't it feel like it? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people don't hate their lives. They just don't feel connected to them. And that quiet disconnection, that's what makes happiness feel impossible. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you might realize something surprising. You were never bad at being happy. You were just searching in the wrong direction. Have you ever looked around at your own life and quietly wondered, asterisk, why am I not happy yet? Asterisk, you did what you were supposed to do. You worked hard. You stayed responsible. You kept going when you were tired. And yet, something still feels missing. Maybe you wake up in the morning and there's no real excitement. Just routh. Maybe you scroll through your phone at night and see everyone else smiling, traveling, celebrating, and you feel this quiet question rising in your chest. Asterisk, what am I doing wrong? Asterisk, you're not miserable, but you're not fulfilled either. It's that strange middle space where life looks fine from the outside, but inside it feels empty. You thought happiness would arrive when you reached a certain milestone, when you made more money, when you found the right partner, when you moved to a better place, when you proved yourself. But every time you reach something, the feeling fades. And then the chase begins again. So you push harder, you compare more, you set new goals, you tell yourself, asterisk, once I get there, then I'll finally be happy. Asterisk, but there keeps moving. And maybe what hurts the most is not the struggle itself, it's the quiet fear that maybe happiness is for other people, that maybe you're just not wired for it, that maybe something is missing inside you. If you've ever felt that this quiet, private dissatisfaction that you don't even talk about, I want you to know something. You are not broken. You are not ungrateful. And you are definitely not alone. There are millions of people walking around every day with the same hidden question in their hearts. Asterisk, why does happiness feel so hard to find? Tonight, we're not going to pretend that life is perfect. We're not going to throw empty positivity at you. We're not going to say, just think positive or just be grateful. Instead, we're going to talk honestly about why the search for happiness can become exhausting, about why so many strong, capable people feel quietly lost, and about what might actually change, not your circumstances overnight, but the way you experience your own life. Because maybe, just maybe, happiness isn't something you find at the end of the road. Maybe it's something you've been walking past this whole time. If you're willing, let's take this journey together. Just stay with me. Let's talk honestly about what's really happening. Most of us were taught, directly or indirectly, that happiness is a reward. A reward for success. A reward for productivity. A reward for being enough. From a young age, the message was clear. Do well in school. Get a stable job. Build something impressive. Be responsible. Be strong. Be independent. And somewhere along the way, happiness got tied to achievement. We started believing that feeling good about life was something we had to earn. So we built our lives around performance. We perform at work. We perform in relationships. We perform on social media. Sometimes, we even perform in front of ourselves. We say, I'm fine. We say, it's not that bad. We say, other people have it worse. But underneath that, there's pressure. Pressure to keep up. Pressure to not fall behind. Pressure to look like we have it together. And here's the quiet truth no one talks about. When happiness becomes a destination, life turns into a constant evaluation. Am I successful enough? Am I attractive enough? Am I far enough ahead? Am I doing life the right way? And if the answer feels like not yet, then happiness gets postponed. There's also something else happening in our generation that makes this harder than ever. Comparison has become constant. In the past, You compared yourself to a few people in your neighborhood or workplace. Now, you compare yourself to thousands every single day. You see highlight reels of vacations, engagements, promotions, transformations. You see people who seem confident, fulfilled, financially free. And even if you logically know it's correct, emotionally, it still hits. It creates this subtle feeling of falling behind. And when you feel behind, it's hard to feel happy, but the deepest issue isn't success. It isn't comparison. It isn't even stress. It's disconnection. Disconnection from yourself. Many people searching for happiness don't actually know what makes them feel alive anymore. They've been moving so fast, chasing goals, meeting expectations, surviving responsibilities, that they stopped asking, what do I actually enjoy? What matters to me? What feels meaningful? Not impressive. When you lose connection with your own inner compass, life becomes mechanical. You achieve things, but they don't satisfy. You buy things, but they don't fill you. You reach milestones, but the emptiness remains. And that emptiness doesn't mean you're weak. It means you've been chasing something external to solve something internal. Happiness feels far away, not because you're incapable of it, but because you've been looking for it in places that were never meant to hold it. That's the real problem. And once you see that clearly, the search begins to change. So if chasing happiness through achievement, comparison, and performance isn't working, what does? Let me say something that might sound simple, almost too simple. Happiness is not something you chase. It's something you practice, not the loud, dramatic kind, not the I finally made it kind, but the quiet, steady kind, the kind that grows from alignment between what you say matters and how you actually live. Most people don't need a brand new life. They need small realignments, and those realignments are often painfully ordinary. For example, instead of asking, how do I become happier? Ask, where am I living against myself? Are you saying yes when you want to say no? Are you staying silent when something bothers you? Are you pursuing goals that impress others but drain you? Sometimes unhappiness isn't about lacking something. It's about betraying yourself in small ways every day. Another shift. Stop postponing joy. So many people treat joy like a luxury, something reserved for weekends, vacations, or when everything is finally under control. But life rarely becomes fully under control. There will always be another bill, another responsibility, another goal. If joy is always scheduled for later, later may never come. Start smaller. Take 10 minutes to walk without your phone. Call someone who feels safe. Cook something simple and eat it slowly. Notice one thing that went right today instead of replaying what went wrong. These aren't dramatic life changes, but they rebuild something powerful. Presence, and presence is where happiness actually lives. Here's another truth most people resist. Happiness is deeply connected to meaning. You can endure stress, long hours, and even setbacks if they serve something meaningful to you. But when effort feels empty, when it's only about status, approval, or fear, exhaustion follows. So instead of asking, what will make me happy? Try asking, what feels meaningful, even if it's hard. Sometimes meaning looks like raising a child with patience. Sometimes it's building something quietly. Sometimes it's healing from something no one else sees. Meaning doesn't always look impressive, but it feels steady. And one more important shift. Stop waiting to feel confident before you start living differently. Confidence grows after action, not before it. You don't wait until you feel worthy to take care of yourself. You take care of yourself, and worth begins to grow. You don't wait until you feel ready to change your direction. You take one honest step, and clarity begins to form. Happiness is not a sudden arrival. It's the result of repeated honest choices, small boundaries, small gratitude, small courage, small moments of presence. And over time, those small moments accumulate into something you don't chase anymore. You start feeling at home in your own life. Not because everything is perfect, but because you're finally living in a way that feels true. And when you live true, happiness stops being a destination. it becomes a byproduct. Now, let me tell you a story about someone who learned this the hard way. Daniel was the kind of person everyone admired. At 34, he had what most people would call a good life. A stable corporate job. A clean apartment in the city. A car he worked hard to afford. A social circle that posted birthday dinners and rooftop photos every weekend. From the outside, he looked successful. But every Sunday night, something heavy would settle in his chest. Not panic. Not sadness exactly. Just a quiet dread. He would sit on the edge of his bed scrolling through emails, already feeling the weight of Monday morning. And couldn't he explain why? He wasn't being mistreated. He wasn't failing. He was just empty. Daniel had spent his entire 20s chasing what he thought would finally make him feel complete. First, it was getting hired at a respected company. Then, it was earning a promotion. Then, it was moving into a better apartment. Then, upgrading his lifestyle. Every achievement gave him a short burst of relief, almost like, okay, now I'm catching up. But the relief never lasted. One evening, after a long day at work, Daniel stayed late in the office. Not because he had to, just because going home felt pointless. He sat there staring at his reflection in the dark computer screen. And for the first time in years, he asked himself a question he had been avoiding. If nobody else were watching, would I choose this life? The answer scared him. No. Not because his life was terrible, but because it wasn't his. It was a life designed around expectations, around safety, around proving something. That night didn't change everything overnight. There was no dramatic resignation letter, no big speech. What changed was smaller. The next morning, instead of waking up and immediately grabbing his phone, Daniel sat in silence for 5 minutes. It felt but in that silence, he realized something simple. He didn't even know what he enjoyed anymore. So he began experimenting. Not quitting his job, not running away. Just small shifts. He stopped staying late unnecessarily. He signed up for a weekend photography class, something he had loved as a teenager, but abandoned because it wasn't practical. He started walking home instead of driving, just to clear his head. At first, nothing dramatic happened, but something subtle began to change. He felt moments of aliveness again, not because his salary increased, not because people praised him, but because he was doing small things that felt like him. Months later, Daniel made a bigger decision. He didn't quit impulsively. He planned carefully. He transitioned into a different role within the same company, one that paid slightly less but gave him flexibility and creative input. His friends didn't understand. Why would you step back? They asked. But Daniel no longer measured his life by appearances. He measured it by alignment. And here's the part that matters most. Daniel didn't become happy because everything became perfect. He became steadier. He no longer woke up dreading his own life. He no longer felt like he was performing. He still had stress. He still had responsibilities. But he felt connected. And the connection to yourself, to your values, to your real interests, changes the quality of your days. Daniel didn't find happiness. He stopped abandoning himself, and in that return, happiness quietly followed. Maybe you see a little bit of yourself in Daniel. Maybe you've been doing everything right, and still feeling something missing. Maybe you've been waiting for happiness to arrive with the next milestone, the next relationship, the next version of you. But what if happiness isn't waiting ahead? What if it's waiting for you to slow down long enough to notice it? The search for happiness becomes painful when we believe it's somewhere else, somewhere better, brighter, more impressive. But real happiness doesn't shout. It whispers. It shows up in alignment, in honesty, in small, courageous choices that no one applauds. It's in saying no when you mean no. It's in resting without guilt. It's in choosing meaning over appearance. It's in reconnecting with parts of yourself you left behind to survive. You don't need a completely new life. You might just need a more honest one. And that begins with one simple question. If nobody else were watching, how would I choose to live? You don't have to answer it all at once. Just start listening. Start noticing where you feel most like yourself. Start adjusting. Gently, quietly, bravely, because happiness isn't something you win, it's something you allow. And maybe the real journey isn't about finding happiness at all. Maybe it's about coming home to yourself, and when you do that, even imperfectly, you'll realize something powerful. You were never missing happiness. You were just too busy searching for it somewhere else. If this spoke to something inside you, hold on to Italiano. And remember, the life you truly want may not be louder. It may not be bigger, but it will feel real. And real is where happiness lives. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next videos. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next videos. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next videos.